Hello and welcome to our marketing webinar. I am Jacob Finley, founder and CEO of FullBay.
And I'm Dorothy Wolden, head of marketing at FullBay.
And this is your Marketing Caffeinated. Thanks all of you guys for coming.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
So we're really glad you're here. You're probably tuning in because you want to learn about marketing, or you just need to kind of learn more about it, or maybe you're just curious about it. And probably also like coffee.
Well, yeah. Basically, the reason why we chose coffee as our theme is because a lot of people can't function without coffee in the morning. And well, your shop can't function without some basic marketing. So we decided to combine the two, have a little fun, figure out all the ways coffee and marketing are like, and use that analogy to bust some marketing myths along the way.
Cool. Yeah, so for about the next 45 minutes, we're going to go over some basic marketing myths and their coffee equivalents to kind of make it relatable and hopefully help you guys pick up some useful tactics that'll help your shop along the way. And the thing is, marketing doesn't have to be a big production, and you don't need to hire people to do it. You don't need to hire people to do this stuff.
That's 2 myths right there.
Yeah, it is.
Busted.
2 of the 5. So we can all go home now. Just kidding. So let's get to know each other a bit first. So at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a chat button down there. You can click on this, and then there's a chat box. This is how anytime during this webinar, feel free to ask us questions if you have any. And let's test that out and make sure it works. So if you could, click on that chat button and tell us where you guys are dialing in from and maybe how much coffee you've had today so far. We'll check that for the responses coming in.
We've got some
Boston, too much, Texas, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Colorado.
2 cups, no coffee.
Got some coffee drinkers, some non-coffee drinkers. Yeah,
all right, cool. So the question box definitely works. We're going to hold questions until the end. And if all of you come up with some questions, you can just go ahead and throw them in here. And we're going to get going.
Perfect. All right. So you're here because you're interested in marketing and maybe because you like coffee, but this webinar is through FullBay. So the odds are you're either using FullBay or you're looking to use it. And either way, it's fine. What we're going to talk about is not necessarily FullBay specific. It's specific to how to market a commercial repair shop. So you probably own a diesel repair shop, heavy duty repair shop, or you work for one, or you're interested in drumming up new business through marketing. And FullBay is all about making your life easier. That's the whole reason we built the software in the first place. But we realized there's other elements of a shop owner's life that we could help improve, and marketing is one of them.
That's right. And you may not know where to start with marketing, even though you suspect you probably should be doing it. And if that's the case, you are in the right place. We're going to cover 5 myths of marketing, show you some easy, inexpensive, and free ways you can perk up your own marketing plans the same way you perk up a good cup of joe. So marketing is a lot like coffee. It can perk up your business and it can perk you up as well.
So we're here to bust some myths about marketing and help you get your shop marketing plan underway.
So to help us out, let's get this poll started. For a quick ask, we want to know how many of you have a marketing strategy in place. The poll is going up.
All right, so if you could, you're going to see this poll. Just respond to that, and then we'll wait for the responses, most of the responses to come in, and then we will share the results. Are we going to share the results, Dorothy?
We can, well, I mean, we could just, verbally share the results here.
Yeah, we're using a new webinar platform, so just getting used to it.
All right. It looks like we have not a bad, we got about a 60-40 split of people who do have a marketing plan in place. So excellent. And those who are obviously looking to get some stuff started. Great.
Cool. So a lot of you are interested in brushing up your marketing, clearly. So here's why we think it can help you. Dorothy has got over 20 years experience as a brand development and marketing strategist. She's won awards. She's one of the, we're based here in Phoenix, Arizona. She's one of the Phoenix Business Journal's 25 dynamic women in business here in Arizona.
And Jacob has built up marketing medical software companies like CareFX and WebPT. He also helped run a heavy duty shop here in Arizona. So he's been in your shoes, and he was, leading the marketing charge here before I joined the team.
So both of us together, yeah, I mean, we've met a lot of shop owners, and we understand what marketing problems they're facing.
And so we want to show you some of that, and we have some good questions. I'll just throw one out to Jacob. So why is marketing important?
Yeah, they say, tell me why I should do a thing and I'll move heaven and earth to do it. So it's like the movie. If you build it, they will come, right? Which I could have whispered, but I don't want to creep anybody out this morning, especially if you haven't had your coffee. That's not just a line from Field of Dreams, though. It tends to be how shop owners feel about their shops. You built it and you opened it. Therefore, you must have business, right? Unfortunately, it's not always how it works. Your shop's open and ready for business, but if your customers don't know you exist, they can't find you. This doesn't mean you need to go straight to Madison Avenue or buy tons of advertising space in the newspaper. It's 2019, or a billboard. That stuff can't hurt, but it's not necessary.
Right. And look, I think we can all just agree marketing is important. So, we're going to bust a few of the myths that might keep you from actually launching your marketing plan.
It doesn't have to be crazy expensive.
It does not have to be crazy expensive. So, that's true. But the first myth that we're going to cover is marketing is just like instant coffee. It brings instant results. Instant coffee is one of these many marvels of the caffeinated world. You add hot water, you gulp it down, bam, you're all set for the day.
Yeah, marketing doesn't exactly work like that.
No, it doesn't.
We wish it did. And I've talked to a lot of shop owners. You'd be surprised how many of them don't want to market themselves because they're afraid it's going to lead to too much work. There's a lot of work out there. They think if they take out an ad or maybe figure out Facebook ads or do a billboard, then they're never going to know a moment of peace. Like the phone's going to be ringing off the hook, their email inbox is going to fill up, waiting room full of people, and they'll be basically, chained down to the shop again because there's just too much work.
And I can assure you, with my years of experience working with hundreds of small businesses, marketing just doesn't work that way. It's not going to drown you in work in an instant. Marketing is more like a traditional coffee machine. You fill it with water, you add the grounds of coffee, you press the button, and then the machine starts to percolate. And you see the coffee dripping slowly into the pot. That's what marketing is like. You keep up the steady drip, it fills the pot, but the pot doesn't fill immediately, unlike when you make instant coffee. Yeah,
there's actually been a lot of studies and experiments done about marketing and how long it takes to achieve results on the digital end. And the number we see thrown around most often is that most marketing requires 6 to 12 months to really show long-term results.
Yeah, you heard that right. It takes several months to see marketing-driven results to your shop. So some tactics can work a little bit quicker than others, so you do need a good marketing mix. We'll talk a little bit about that too.
Yeah, and it has to be a steady buildup over time. I mean, you're not chucking Hail Marys here, right?
Right.
You win games by blocking and tackling, and the same thing applies to marketing. So don't be afraid that your marketing is going to bury you in work. It's a slow ramp.
It is. And really the main point we're trying to make here is that don't wait to get started with your marketing. Just jump in and get into it. So now we're going to talk about, so we busted that. All right. So we're going to jump into this big one. Marketing costs too much. I've worked with a lot of small businesses and they always say they don't have a big budget or they don't have any budget for marketing. Marketing is expensive.
It's interesting because the world has really changed, especially in terms of marketing. Your daughter or son wants to go into marketing and it's 1985 and you're like, why don't you get a degree where you can actually get a job? Right?
Right.
2019, it's not like that. I mean, there's so many tactics that another thing is they say that half of your marketing budget is wasted. You just don't know which half.
Yeah.
And that's not so true anymore. It's in a lot of ways become a science, but it's a science that you can do. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It used to be that you'd have to go shell out for a TV spot or a giant billboard, or maybe take out a big ad in a newspaper. And it's really hard to track whether those actually made a difference. And it's expensive and it's fleeting. Like it happens once, and if people miss it, then it's over. Like if you're driving on the freeway and you see a billboard with your shop's info on it, honestly, you're probably not even noticing it until your truck starts acting up right at that very moment. So what are the chances?
Oh, right. Yeah. And a truck never breaks down. It should break down.
Never, unless you're doing really good preventive maintenance and you just choose to not do it, then you can probably predict it.
But you know, these tactics like billboards and newspaper ads, they can be inexpensive and they can easily be ignored or bypassed by your customers. So put those two things together and you think, why would I pour money into that? So you say, oh, forget it. They'll find us when they need us.
Yeah. The good news here, though, is there's lots of free or at least inexpensive marketing tactics that you can use that are actually extremely effective. And if you go to our website, we've written a lot of blog posts about these, and we can provide links in the webinar or in the chat if you want to read them. Just hit us up. Let's see. I think we'll cover 3 here.
Yep.
And this is kind of the gist of what we're getting at. So number 1 is going to be like a trick, free or relatively inexpensive. Is Google My Business. Google My Business, and we're not talking about like go to Google and look up your business. This is an actual thing. So if you're not using this, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You got to be using it. If you have a business, odds are Google's already got you in their system. So what you do is you log into Google My Business and you can claim your shop and update things like your hours, your services, things like that. And when people do a Google search of repair shops near me, the Google My Business results are the ones that are going to show up first. It's tied to GPS, their location, your location. So what you can do is offer discounts and updates using Google My Business. So it's really a good, simple way to reach out. It's really a foundation that you got to build when you have a business in this day and age, and good way to reach a lot of customers and potential customers in a hurry. Super cheap. It's free.
Right. It's free. And
that's free.
And you know, the advantage for you is that there are probably a lot of your, we'll call them frenemies or competitors who aren't doing that. So it's an easy thing that you can do right away to just start having some kind of presence online.
Yeah. The guy across the street, if he's not doing it and you're not, do it, and immediately you have a competitive advantage over him.
Yeah. Yeah. So social media, right? So let's be honest with ourselves. We spend a lot of time on social media. It's kind of like the guilty pleasure. But if you're there, carve out some time to promote your business. This could be as simple as, you know, highlighting an employee or some special offer you have. It's a great avenue to also promote any of the other tactics that we're going to be discussing today. So for very little or no cost at all, you know, you're hitting your customers where you know they are. Because believe me, we're all online, folks. We're all on those social media channels, whether we want to admit it or not. So, you know, don't think that, you know, oh, my customers aren't there. They are.
So we're talking Facebook. Yeah. Have a Facebook page. Follow us on Facebook. Find us Full Day on Facebook and follow us there. Set up your shop. Post interesting stuff. We'll repost it. People see stuff all the time. Get on Instagram, right? Everyone's got a smartphone nowadays, and Instagram is actually a really good place to be, especially you may not think that what you're doing is interesting, but snap some shots of the crazy stuff you see. Like that truck rolls in at 3 a.m. with 3 sharks in a tank in the back. People want to see that kind of thing, right?
They do.
We've done that repair.
Yeah.
So Instagram, there's others out there as well, right?
Yeah. I mean,
TikTok
if you really
Yeah.
want to, you know, get into it, you can do, you know, Twitter and all the other ones as well. But, you know, don't start too crazy. Like, one of the big things that I told my clients all the time is just be consistent. Pick what you're going to do and stick with it. Don't try to do too much and then you get overwhelmed and then you just stop doing it. I'd rather like you do pick 2 things and you do it on a regular basis. You're going to see more results from that than spreading yourself out too thin.
Yeah. So Dorothy's talking more about like an actual strategy on social media, whereas I just want to take a picture of the sharks and maybe there's.
Well, I mean, you know, you can pick like, you know, Facebook and Instagram versus trying to do all the various platforms.
Yeah,
because,
do a few things really well.
You know, there's probably a million social media platforms that pop up on a daily basis. Where we're just saying stick to the ones that we know people are going to be at, and then just do it.
Not a bad way to attract technicians too, to have a social media presence.
True.
Third one would be a referral program. So if you're truly satisfying your customers, referrals are going to happen organically. So you want to provide some kind of a mechanism where people can toss referrals to you. And, you know, psychology studies prove that like the number one motivator that people have is intrinsic motivation. They do it because they want to. So if you're really satisfying your customers, they're going to want to refer people to you. And you can't put a price on that. Right. It's actually free. It just comes from by virtue of you running a quality operation with integrity. So put some kind of a mechanism in place for people to give you referrals and give them a thank you. So if you promise something, it's not the best. The best is to, you know, do a really good job and and people are rewarded intrinsically, but wouldn't hurt to send them something like a good cup of coffee or something in return as a thank you for any referrals. So you can set up a referral program, and that can be relatively inexpensive to do and can really be a good way to bring business into your shop.
For sure. And, don't be afraid to ask. Ask your customers for a referral. Your good customers are going to want to, but there might not be, it's not top of mind to them. So, put together a small, maybe email send or something that you do on social media and just ask them. They'll be willing to do it. And then again, if you're going to give something in return, do it as an after thank you, just, so that they don't feel like you're trying to buy their referral.
Yeah. Right. There's something there though. Rewards programs. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, I was standing at a Flying J in the middle of nowhere, signing up for the rewards program, trying to get it to work, and where I really should have just been getting back on the road, but I don't know why. But there's something there.
Yeah, I think there are. People like to know, like, hey, if I, maybe I got 3 oil changes here in a row, and then maybe you could say, okay, when at the 3rd oil change, we give it for free or something along that lines. It's those referral programs or loyalty programs are a little bit different from a customer
They're
referral
different. They are
program,
different. Yeah.
But they're both ways to like really engage your customer and have them involved in part of your marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we got, this leads us up to myth number 3, that, an extravagant, crazy marketing plan is the best way to go. The truth is, a simple plan is often the best. Much like a straight cup of black coffee can do the trick, it's hard to screw up a simple cup of Joe, but when you have seen how often a barista messes up one of those crazy orders of like some triple shot pumpkin spice, whatever, with onion milk,
like Napoleon Dynamite, the cow got into the onion patch.
Yeah, I think that's
an
the
ingredient.
It is. Well, actually, what I really mean is that, we've all been behind that person at the coffee shop in this long, crazy order, and there's too many parts to mess up. The same goes with for an extremely fancy marketing plan. For the purpose of most shops, you don't need a lot of moving parts. You just need to get in there with a good, simple plan that you can execute on.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. So remember a couple of myths back, we talked about how it's best to let the coffee machine or marketing campaign drip along until it's providing steady results. Well, a simple plan does just that for you. If you take, free and inexpensive tips that we mentioned here a little bit ago, and you just stick with them, course of 6 months or a year, which again, on average, that's the amount of time it takes before you're going to see some good results.
Right.
That's all you need to do. In like computer terms, it's plug and play.
Or just set it and forget it.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, the only thing you need to monitor really is the number of visits your shop receives. So when you get a new customer, ask them how they found you. If you're using Fullbay, there's a place to write that down actually in the customer record, so you can keep track of this stuff. It's going to be the real gauge of how well your marketing plan is going. You want to know, like we were saying earlier, half your marketing budget is wasted. You just don't know which half. This helps you know exactly how well these tactics are performing. So do you see a steady uptick in business over time? Are they coming to your shop because they saw your Google My Business or because an existing customer of yours referred them? So it's that kind of thing. That's when you know what you're doing is working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, take it from somebody who's been in marketing a really long time. There were years where we had no way to really track how effective our marketing was. And in today's world, like everything can be tracked, and it's really amazing. And it's kind of fun too, because you get to watch like how things are progressing over time, what's working, what isn't working. So it's not as much as, you just put it out there, but you really have to stay on top of it and see if it's actually performing.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't we take another quick poll? How are you guys feeling out there? Feeling pretty good? Okay, so how many people do you think you need to hire an extra person to actually do your marketing for you?
All right, let's see here. I'm feeling good, by the way.
Okay.
Lots of no's. Good.
All right. Excellent. Well, you guys are pretty smart out there. I guess you're probably going to guess what our next myth is.
Yeah. Sorry, just fascinated by the results here. So,
Yeah.
yeah, myth number 4, you got to hire an extra staff to do your marketing or make your coffee. So that one, maybe the coffee thing.
I suppose if you're fortunate enough to have someone make your coffee, good for you. But you really don't need to hire somebody to do marketing for you. A simple plan is what we're recommending, and that's something that's perfectly manageable by you guys out there listening today.
Yeah, so a lot of shop owners look at marketing as something super complex, and it can be. I mean, you can make a science project out of it, and if that's if that's what you want to spend your weekends doing, no one's going to stop you. But it's not necessary for a repair shop. Even if you don't recognize it doesn't need to be expensive, you might see a Facebook ad and be like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to do that," and then you decide that you need to hire someone to handle it. Maybe it's a college kid looking to make money or something like that. It's not that complicated.
It's not. It's not. And or you might think, oh gosh, I need somebody who has all that specialized skills, and then you're thinking about putting somebody on the payroll. Let's just stop right there. The truth is, for the kind of simple, effective marketing we're suggesting, you don't need to hire anybody. All the stuff that you need, you already understand your market. You know your customers better than anyone. You know how to reach them. You know what kind of experience that they're looking for, what they should expect to pay, and what kind of service will keep them coming back. That's all you need to know, and that's all already in your head.
Yeah, I mean, it's not to say, it depends on the size of your shop too. I mean, if you are a big multi-location shop, hiring a marketing specialist might not be a bad idea if you're getting involved in huge campaigns. I mean, if you're going out and sponsoring trade shows and that kind of thing, the law of comparative advantage kicks in, and you got to bring in some help. Because it actually gets cheaper when you bring in, but that's the exception.
Of course. And you may, over time, get to that place where you need to do that. And again, good for you if you do. But for now, we're going to stay focused on keeping some simple tactics that you won't need to hire somebody to help you with. It's like the crawl, walk, run, as they say. We're in the crawl phase right now. So you are really all you need to do to get your marketing going.
And pour your own coffee. Right?
And pour your own coffee. All right, so we busted yet another one.
All right, so let's do another poll. We've got 2 polls left.
Okay.
It's going to influence how we talk about the next subject. So how many of you out there have a website? If you could let us know here. Do you have a website? All right. Not what I expected. Interesting. So maybe 80-20? 90-10?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I figured out how to share the results. So now you guys can see.
Yeah, there you go.
A lot of you out there have a website. Way to go.
All right. Let's talk about this. So there's a reason we asked you about the website. This one's near and dear to our hearts. Like I said, we wrote a blog post about this. So myth number 5 is websites like industrial size coffee makers are only for big shops. This is not true. It hurts me every time someone says that, and we actually hear it a lot. So
okay, help me with this analogy. What does an industrial size coffee maker have to do with a website?
Well, I think people get intimidated with websites. Just because a shop is small doesn't mean they don't need a website. And just because a shop might only have 2 techs, it doesn't mean those 2 techs might not drink 10 cups of coffee each. Industrial size coffee maker for the winter. So you might as well get an industrial size machine. So it doesn't have to be intimidating in this big imposing thing.
Right.
Getting a website is not that hard to do.
Okay. Got it. So
not expensive either.
True. And so there might be shops that employ like 20 technicians who don't have a website, and maybe who only have about 5 who have like the most killer website that's out there. So it doesn't really matter. Again, it doesn't, as long as you're owning that space online, that is like your storefront online for people who are searching for shops like yours. So
yeah,
one-man bands have their own websites. So there's really nothing that says that the size of your shop determines whether you should or should not have a website. But I mean, from the poll here, we can see that a lot of you agree with that, because most of you do have a website. So you're already ahead of the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So the giant shops are going to have more budget to play with, obviously, on things like Facebook ads. But for the most part, the internet's still a level playing field for that heavy duty world. So you can compete with that huge shop across town if you're, 3 to 5 tech shop or whatever, or one
Right.
tech shop. If you run a tight ship and your customers like you, you're going to get pretty good reviews on Google and Yelp, and that's going to help. Often those are the first things people look at when they're searching for a shop. If you have a nice looking website though, that has your shop and it's got your shop info on it, all this stuff, some good pictures, that is going to make a big difference. You're going to set yourself apart, set yourself up for success, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And for the handful of folks who are on this call who don't have a website already, just keep it simple at first. That's just kind of the key to this whole conversation here. But there are like 3 things you can't forget. Like, make sure your shop name is on there. Make sure your phone number is on there. Make sure your address is on there. And I know you're thinking, duh, we know that. But believe me, I've seen it done. I've seen it so many times where there's either no phone number or they can't find the phone number. So it's, again, I can't stress how much you just want to keep it as simple as possible and then grow it over time. As you get a little bit more comfortable with being online, then you can add more to your website. Like, you could talk about the different certifications that your team has, and you can even, start writing some blogs and have some more, information to make it more robust website as you go.
Yeah. So if you have there's some bare minimum things that you need on the website. With a website, people can find you anytime. It's like they're calling you up on the phone and you have this recorded message, but you can make it look awesome. So if someone's truck's coming up for a service need, or if they're new in town, or if they're looking to switch shops, if you've got a website, you're basically rolling out the welcome mat for potential new customers. Why not do it, especially when it's so easy? And you can even put a call to action on there where people can directly request a repair. And at the end of the day, I would almost say that if you're a shop, the purpose of having a website is to allow people to find you. Well, why are they finding you? It's to request a repair. So give them a big button right there on the website to request a repair. And I might be stealing some of your thunder directly on that, but for those of you using FullBay, that button exists. It's a super simple code snippet that you have whoever's doing your website drop in there on your website, and they can directly request a repair. It shows up right in FullBay. It's beautiful.
Yeah, nice shameless plug there, Jacob.
Yeah, thanks. FullBay offers this and much more if you're interested.
So, it's your website is just like a way slicker version than the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, and it helps them find you when they're looking for you.
Right.
Yeah, without the paper kits, by the way.
Exactly.
The Yellow Pages still exist. I saw it on the Breaking Bad movie on Netflix last night. There was a lot of Yellow Pages instances.
I'm always shocked when I sometimes get one on my doorstep. Like, people still look at the Yellow Pages. But yeah, we're not talking about Yellow Pages.
It's a great movie, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
All right.
So those of you who don't have websites, what are the next steps, right? If you only take one thing away from this webinar, it's that you absolutely do need a website.
Yes, and maybe an industrial size coffee maker.
Right, exactly. Maybe that. So how are you guys holding up? We're going to open it up for questions here. If you're feeling good, maybe we've had so much caffeine, we're ready to jump right into the Q&A section. If you haven't sent yours in yet, go ahead and do it now. And we're going to take questions now that we have time for. It'll probably take about 10 minutes. So let's see what we got here. And okay. It looks like we've got one here. What kind of promotions could a small shop run? What do you think, Dorothy?
Well, there's a couple that we talked about already in regard to like customer referral and customer loyalty programs, but some simple programs you can run. Sometimes it could be even just like a fun contest that you run online. You might post a piece of a like picture that you took of some angle of the truck, and then you ask people to like, hey, what is this, kind of a thing, and then they have to answer, and then you're just getting some engagement with your customer, and you're starting to humanize to your shop, so it isn't just like a place that they come and take their truck to get fixed, but it's like, oh, there's a place with real people here and they're fun, and you make a connection with them on a different level. There's a lot of tons of different programs, and I do want to just point out one more time, we have about I don't know, 5 or 6 different blogs about different types of marketing tactics that we dive in pretty deep on.
Yeah.
I know we were really high level today, but we have a lot of that content as well. So if you guys, need more of that juicier, info to, get things ramped up, I highly recommend going to the website and going into the blog section and seeing what we've posted recently.
All kinds of good stuff in
Yeah.
there. Got a question here. How do I know? So if I'm a full bay customer, how do I know where my customers came from? So we talked about that, how you can input basically, how did you hear about us? And you can actually make that a required field. When you download your customers, the customer list, it shows that in the customer list. So you can see exactly who came from where and so forth.
And that's within the full bay tool. But there's also lots of different ways, like if you're using any sort of Google Analytics in your website, and I know we're kind of getting a little bit, more advanced here, but if you have that code tracking on your website, then you can check that out on a regular basis and pull reports to that to see where that traffic is coming from.
Got another one here. We're a newer shop and we've been bombarded by Yelp to take out paid advertising. Is there any need to do that?
Boy, I hope no one from Yelp is on this call. Yeah, Yelp is really, really good about, selling you and marketing to you. But I will say that you have to be really careful with Yelp. It's kind of, what do they call that? The,
they've got a big presence.
Yeah,
but
it's sort of the devil that you, what is that phrase again?
The devil, or something like that.
It's an unnecessary evil, or a necessary evil, I should say.
Right.
I mean, you want to have your profile on there, which you can actually put.
It's free
on there, so you don't.
They probably put it on there for you when they went to try to sell you.
Exactly.
Really. Yeah.
So if you can do a pretty good job of managing your own Yelp, you don't have to purchase any additional services from Yelp. The thing about those review sites, I will just stress, is that you have to make sure you're answering every review. Even if it's a negative one, you still want to say, hey, we appreciate your feedback. We'll have someone contact you to help resolve your issue. Keep it really simple, but don't just leave it hanging out there. And Yelp is kind of good about trying to point that out.
But hot take, Dorothy, what would you spend money on Yelp? Hot take.
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's,
yeah.
We're not taking money from a Yelp.
No. Well, look, if we're just sticking with our theme here of keeping it simple, then keep it simple.
Why get involved in that?
I wouldn't pay anything for Yelp.
Something we did was, it's a little bit after the fact, but we would always put a piece of candy on the seat after we did a repair for the driver. Okay. And we're in Arizona, so we had to figure out
what
certain candy doesn't work in the summer. Exactly. Jolly Ranchers work pretty good. What about this one? Should I run Facebook ads? Yeah, Facebook is hitting me up all the time too, just like Yelp is. Should I run Facebook ads? What about that?
I think it depends on where you are in your marketing phase, right? So if you've already have a pretty good presence, you've got a website established, you've got some, Facebook page established, you're doing the things that, you're doing from the basics, then maybe it's time to graduate to looking into a little bit about that. It can be a little intimidating, but there are really, the thing about Facebook that is, really interesting is once you get into that, you can choose your demographics and it gets really granular. So you can have some success there. But I would say before you go and spend any money there, make sure that you're covering all the basics first. And then you can, like I said, that's sort of the walk phase of your marketing. We're kind of talking about the crawl phase, but there is some validity to running some Facebook ads, but don't do it before you've got at least the basics down.
What about this? Should we even be trying to reach customers that aren't on the internet? And if so, how do we do that?
Trying to reach customers. Well, I mean, you always want to try to reach customers in any way that you can. There's a lot of new stats out today that say all the offline media is actually growing quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And people are looking at they are reading newspaper, believe it or not, or looking at a
print is kind of coming back a bit.
Trade publication, or maybe even an industry trade show or conference. Those kinds of things are some decent options. And if you live in a smaller area, you probably have a little local paper. I mean, put some ads in there. It's a great way to still get in front of your customer. And a lot of your customers might be a little bit on the low tech side. So, they may be sitting at their desk every morning, drinking their coffee and reading the newspaper. So I would dive in a little bit and try to figure out where your customers are before, you just throw money into a certain thing. You can't, I know sometimes it's hard to really, but you can just ask them like, hey, what kind of paper, do you read the paper, or do you get any of the magazines, Find ways to get the data that you need before you make the decision on what your next marketing tactic is going to be.
What about a calendar? Give them a calendar.
Heck yeah, why not?
The 12 best looking techs in the shop. How about this one? Maybe we can dive a little more into this, because you said this earlier about Yelp. Like you want to respond to the reviews, especially the bad reviews. Yep. In general, what's the best practice there for responding to a bad review? Because we're saying get on Google My Business. Okay, right. Well now, there's a review mechanism there too. Yeah, How do you respond to bad reviews?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly opens you up for those things. And look, people will probably say something.
Percentage wise, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. But encourage, just keep it calm. Just thank them for their feedback, and then offer to resolve it offline. There's going to be like the message, that everyone will see. They'll see your response to that negative post. So just make sure that, you're being professional, and then you're just trying to defuse it, and then get them to connect with you offline. You can follow them up with a phone call, or maybe you can connect with them with email, but definitely don't have a battle back and forth within, a particular review site. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't look good. For you, it'll make you look worse than it actually makes them. So, always want to, side on professionalism and brief, and trying desperately to get them offline. If it's a real true, issue that they had, unfortunately, sometimes people might spout out and say something right away, but then when you go to ask them about it, you'll hear nothing. And that's mostly what will happen. If it's a real true issue that you need to take care of, people will be pretty open to, for you to follow up with them offline.
I had a question here. Does Fullbay offer a CRM? It's an interesting question, because the way that we approached building Fullbay was it has elements of a CRM baked into it. And we continue to add to that. Actually, stay tuned. We've got more coming in that area. So when you talk about CRM, stands for Customer Relationship Management Software, CRM software. And at its core, that's kind of what Fullbay is. So it's a combination CRM and ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning. Continue to build that out. What do you think? What do you think, Dorothy? Any kind of final remarks here?
I was just kind of skimming through some of these questions and comments. Actually, we got a couple of great comments on here. I'll pull one of them out. Like, a program that you might be able to run is a thank you card with a scratcher ticket in it, or give away a bag of candy for each service that you complete. So yeah, I mean, I think those are all really great ideas. It's nice that you guys are interacting with each other. We've got a couple of things coming up. I'll say this is our last webinar for the year, but we are going to be at a couple of industry shows. So we'll be at SEMA, APEC, and then the RV Dealer Show. And we'll actually have a couple of our marketing people there. So if you want to bring some of your questions one-on-one, we're happy to answer, maybe dive a little bit deeper into some of the questions that you have that are a little bit more high level.
Yeah. You'll be at SEMA and APEX. Yes. I'll be there. Yep. Are you at the RV show?
I actually not sure yet.
So come and find us, come meet us. I don't have the booth number, but you can look us up at SEMA. We're always in a great location. That's a fun event in Las Vegas. One last polling question we want to launch. Would you, here we go. So would you like to demo Fullbay? So for those of you who aren't a Fullbay customer, would you like to demo Fullbay and see what it can do for you? See what we built? If so, just mark yes, and we'll give you a call. And we really thank you all for tuning in. If we've missed any questions, please reach out to us. Let us know. We'll also be following up with the questions that we didn't get to. And come meet us at CMA Apex. We're at all the major shows. And if you want to talk one-on-one about marketing to your shop, stop on by. We will do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to meet you if I'm there. And we will see you next time.
Yep. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thanks a lot, guys.